All right, so welcome back to the channel. I'm out here today with Marcee of Capable Inc. Obviously, you guys know me. I'm more of a tactical self-defense shooter, but we're out here in what looks like a competition stage. So Marcee, who are you?
Hey guys, I'm Marcee. I'm here in Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm part of the Capable Inc. team. I'm also a competition shooter in USPSA and two-gun. I am also a USCCA instructor.
So obviously her perspective is more of the competition realm. Obviously she has some tactics experience, but she approaches this from the competition shooter perspective. I approach it more from the tactical perspective, or whatever the hell that is. And so today we'll kind of talk about those, contrast those, and how they're similar and how they're different. So we got this stage set up here, and we're gonna take it kind of piece by piece. And first we're gonna start with this Texas star right here. So Marcee, how would you approach the star starting in this box from this position?
All right, yeah, so with our stage brief, we had it set up. There was no actual start position. We could stand with wrist below belt. So visually, I wanna make sure that I'm lined up where I wanna be on my first target on the Texas star. I'm gonna wait for that beep. As soon as that beep goes off, draw as quickly as I can, engage Texas star. Now I know that my next position is going to be back here, so I'm going to exit with this foot out here, and we also added a mandatory reload, so that's going to be in my mind as well.
All right, so now obviously if this was a threat, this was a bad guy you had to engage, a lot of people might think, oh, if let's say these barrels are covered walls, right? Obviously barrels don't stop bullets, but let's pretend they do. If you're in this close of distance, this is maybe 10 yards, probably around there.
Yeah.
Your best bet might just be engaging. Now you could like drop and draw, but this isn't enough cover to really conceal you or give you cover. Like it's not going to do a whole lot. So you could go here, but your best bet might just be starting putting rounds down range and suppressing the bad guy and start engaging the bad guy. So obviously with the star, you have the component that it moves and all those other things, but if this was a moving threat or multiple threats or whatever, it might be best to just start engaging from the position you're at, maybe dropping to cover, but obviously this is so small that it's not giving you a whole lot. Now with the reload, when it comes to both competition shooting or tactical shooting, reloading on the move makes way more sense. Obviously you want to reload behind cover, but if I'm moving anyways to here, I might as well conduct that reload. So that way I'm saving time because I know, okay, I'm gonna need some more bullets, and when we get to later the stage, you'll see why, and I need to move to my next piece of cover.
Yep, awesome, yeah, and then when I'm actually, I'm in my mind, I wanna make sure I'm not breaking that 182. Don't want to actually, pan back here or anything like that. So I'm going to make sure my muzzle is pointed down range as I'm doing that reload. And I'm lining up with my eyes on where I need to go into that next position because we have a barricade now, so.
And muzzle awareness, a lot of people think, oh, well, the 180 is not going to apply in real life. And yeah, in real life, my gun's out, I'm keeping my finger, high and off the trigger, but I still want to be aware of where my muzzle's pointing, and there's no reason for me to point it in an erroneous direction, and it does lose efficiency if my muzzle's here and I have to bring it back here versus my muzzle's already here, and then I can come up to my next position. So while you may not have to follow the 180 rule the same way, you can point your gun up, you can point your gun pretty much anywhere within reason when you're in an actual situation, because it's all about, killing the threat or stopping the threat. Muzzle awareness is still important, and if you practice that in a competition, that will end up paying off later on. So the next position, you're in this box here, and this is your piece of cover, your concealment, whatever it is you want to call it, and you're engaging just through this slit to those two far right targets. So you can just barely see them, and when it comes to engaging targets from a reduced piece of cover where you're losing your vision, the one big thing in the tactical world is you want to back up, right? You want to maintain your distance so you can see more, because if I back all the way up, I can actually see both my targets, but that means movement-wise, I actually have more to do over there. So obviously, Marcee, if you want to kind of talk about from the more competition aspect of it,
yeah.
How would you approach this?
Yeah, so very similarly, but what I'm gonna do is visually, I'm gonna plan where I want my footing. I'm also gonna try and stay back though, because for time purposes, it takes a little bit more time if you have your gun kind of sticking through the porthole here versus having it back. You can transition just a little bit easier from those two targets. Now also, because I have the momentum going from left to right, I might add a little foot motion here too, because I know that if I'm taking that first target here on the right, I can simply just take that right foot down, and that'll put me right into that position that I need to be in for that next array. And then also using that momentum, I'm already starting from the left side. My body is moving to the right side. So now I already have that momentum to go ahead and enter into that next position as well. So very similar.
And now you might say, oh, well, I can see, if you were here as just a regular person, you're like, oh, I can see all the other targets of the stage right here. And I could see them starting from there. obviously when it comes to a competition, you can only set up so much when it comes to setting up a stage. You can't, unless you had like a giant, massive 100 meter by 100 meter range and a ton of walls and barricades, you cannot set up a true situation where you only see targets at certain times, right? You already know what the stage is gonna be like. It's not a surprise. The point is, how are you addressing it? So for the tactical training realm, I only have these 2 threats right here. Those don't exist. I don't know about them until I start going to that next part of the stage, and we'll take a look at that right now. All right, so the next part of the stage, in fact, the final part of this stage, is a moving and shooting part. So as soon as you hit this red line, you're continuing out, and now you can start engaging all these targets here. All the remaining targets, you're re-engaging some and you're engaging the other ones. And the point is, before you hit this next red line moving around these barrels, is to have engaged all the targets appropriately. Now, Marcee, how would you approach this from that competition mindset?
Right, so because I know that my in position has to be at that next line down there, I want to make sure that I'm still moving as I'm shooting. So from my point of view, I'm going to take the easiest targets first, which for me, that's going to be these closest targets here. As I am shooting, or as I'm moving, I'm going to shoot, 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 shoot. And then that way in my mind, I want to end up down here in this position and taking those little bit harder targets, which will be those steel, the falling steel for me. But I do engage all the targets in a row. I'm not going to jump back from paper, paper, steel, or anything like that. I'm going to take them from right to left, making sure that it is all in one nice, easy array.
So something we ran into when we were shooting this is a lot of times with that hostage shot, while you wouldn't hit the hostage, it would sometimes pass through into the target behind it. Now, for competition's sake, depending on the rules, that may not count against you, but from a tactical or real world perspective, you obviously don't want to be shooting, you have to worry about your target and what's beyond it, right? One of the important rules of firearm safety. So as soon as I come up here, I cannot see that target behind it. I can't really address it. Is it a threat? Is it not a threat? I just know it's there. So if I come up and I take that shot, I'm not sure if I'm shooting a bad guy, a good guy, or what. So for me, I would have to wait, maybe address this first threat, then come to here, and once I'm here, then I can see these threats as well, and then I can address these. Now, when it comes to moving and shooting in a tactical situation, unless you need to get to somewhere else, there's not a huge advantage to moving, right? Now, obviously moving can help me so they don't know where my position is or whatever, but moving out in the open obviously is not something you normally want to do. That's one of those cardinal sins. But it could very well be I'm trying to get to something, or I'm trying to get to somewhere else, or I'm trying to get out of there, and maybe I'm being followed. There's so many different situations you could drum up in your head, but ultimately, if I was to approach this tactically, I would probably come here, take out this target from here, and then wait to get some more information before I take that shot, because I don't know what's going on with that guy. Now, you could use this as some cover, drop down, maybe then engage from behind, but once again, not very tall, not very wide, so it's not great cover. Now, of course, a lot of people are all going to say, oh, well, from right here, I could see all the targets and engage them. Brought that up earlier, but the point is, this is like an imaginary wall. I can't see these targets till I step here, right? Now I'm here, now I can start addressing things. And just the same way as Marcee said, it still makes sense to address it in an efficient manner. So bam, bam, okay, I see that guy, bam, 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 bam. I'm still gonna do it the same way. I just might have different considerations because in a training environment or to the real world scenario, I don't know what's going on with that target, so I need to first see it before I start shooting the target in front of it. So whether you're shooting a Texas Star or an array of targets, shooting is still shooting. It's all about the fundamentals. You can add in tactics, you can add in something competitive, but ultimately it's all about the same goal.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, in both disciplines, tactical versus competition, it's really not too much different. What's our end goal? To shoot as accurately as we can, basically as fast as we can, right?
So it's about that efficiency, and a lot of that efficient footwork, while you might be like, oh, I don't reveal my foot yet, or there's a little more of that tactical mindset to key in there in the real world situations. When it comes to efficiency of movement, when it comes to transitions, efficiency of engaging targets, all of that's all gonna be the same. It's just gonna carry over. So if you're someone who wants to get some training in and you wanna add some pressure, competition, that's a lot of pressure. When you're under the timer, when you have people watching you, your friends, random people you don't know, you have instructors watching you, that's gonna put a lot of pressure on you. And so that's gonna really test your skills. Because you might think, oh, I'm a tactical guy, and those competition shooters don't know anything. Well, go out there, shoot with those competition shooters, because they will show you that you are not as good as you think, and your tactics won't save you if you can't hit the paper. All right, guys, so if you enjoyed the video, if you liked seeing me bringing in Marcee, a competition shooter, someone who has a different perspective than myself, go leave a like down below. If you think that tactical shooting is the only thing that matters, and if you are not behind cover and doing all sorts of crazy tactical stuff at all times, you're gonna get yourself killed in the streets, well, there's a dislike button for a reason. Otherwise, guys, head in those comments. What is your opinion? Are you a competition shooter? Are you more of a tactical shooter? What is your take on all of this, and how do you approach a stage like this? Marcee, how do people find you? How do they get in touch with you, all that good stuff?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, marcee.mae, marcee.mae, or you can find me under our team page, which is Capable Inc. So follow us there. We've got tons of tips on shooting, tactical, competition, whatever it might be. So.
All right, guys, so if you liked the video, subscribe and stay tuned.